The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
Hello. No, you're not on yet, Rob. Hold on. Shit. My entire world is exploding today. You can go ahead and unmute him. I didn't mean that. I just, it takes a minute to punch the buttons. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Scarefest Television. I'm your host for the evening, Wes Forsyth, and I'll be joined by Mr. Rob Shirtless Mello. And as always,
it's not in Louisiana, Doug.
And my co-host for tonight is the lovely and talented Cece Ann, who finally dressed down for the occasion.
Hey, my Scarefest shirt.
Is this like a wave that you do? Is this did you flip that over there so everybody can?
That looks cool as fuck.
Yeah,
that shirt is cool.
Thank you. It's amazing. Scarefest.
That's cool.
Got a whole lot of stuff going on. See?
Okay, back to me.
I can't get up anymore because I've got my pajamas on.
Got PJs on me too, dude.
Okay, everybody, this is what all went down today. Windows Update decided to completely destroy the show format, and I had to rebuild it from the ground up. So I did finally get all that figured out. We have announcements tonight for Scarefest CyberCon coming up August 29th, and Adrian sent me the banners 3 minutes ago. And then on top of that, I literally lost Rob's Skype name and right at showtime. He had to actually show me that yes, you have spoke to me before on Skype, and here, this is what I look like. So that's that is the train wreck that we're dealing with. But anyway, so Rob, we've got you scheduled coming up for Scarefest. Got a couple of questions for you just to go ahead right out of the gate here. First of all, it says on the internet that you're famous for your Boston accent. My problem with that is every part I've seen you play, you play rednecks.
Yep. Explain it.
Yeah. Dude, are there no Bostonian villains?
There are, but they're all in Boston, dude. I'm in New Orleans. Therein lies the problem. You know what I mean? No, I married a woman from Alabama, rural ass Alabama, and met her in the Marine Corps. And when she was getting out, it was Boston or Alabama, and Alabama's way fucking cheaper to live in than Boston. So we opted for Alabama. You know, you got to be close to family, relatively. Depends on the family, of course. So I moved to Alabama, and I've always, I never really thought about acting. I happened upon it by accident, actually.
Well, that was a follow-up to that. Now, I can imagine somebody getting into acting in Boston, in the Northeast. How does one get in acting in Alabama?
Because at the time I wasn't. I was in Florida.
Okay, that's like secondary. Okay, how does one get in acting in Florida? It's not known for its movies.
Not anymore, sadly. Unlike in Louisiana and Georgia, the Florida state government, Dick Scott, has negated the tax credits for the industry. They they basically destroyed an entire industry single-handedly. So I was working 6 days a week, right? I was waiting tables 2 to 3 nights a week, cooking the rest of the nights, and I still had a day off, and we were still stealing from the water bill to pay the power bill, stealing from the power bill to pay the gas bill. You know what I mean?
Oh, believe
And
me, I know exactly what you mean.
right. So I had one day, and so I started using Craigslist. You know, that was gross. Is she gonna? I was hoping she would spew pho out her nose, but
Fried rice.
oh, fried rice, you plick. Uh, so I had a day. I had a day that I could, spend making money for the family, and I was just cruising Craigslist ads and the part time because in Tampa, there's these motherfuckers on the side of the road. I can swear, right? Yeah, I can, of course.
We'll allow you one.
Spinner. One?
One F-bomb. Be creative.
All right, well, it's been great knowing everybody. And
Wait, no, I have questions.
if I'm only allowed one,
no. We're like PG-13, and you use that in the context of a sentence, so it's allowable.
Okay.
See, that's
fair enough.
We don't have rules. We have standards.
You do. Fire. Anyway, there's sign spinners. There's all sorts of gigs. It's one day a week. It's cash. So like $100 extra a week definitely fucking helps. So I found this gig. This guy was looking for actors, background actors. He, all sorts of shit. He was doing a SAG short, and that didn't mean shit to me at the time. But I had been in a couple plays in high school, and I told him that, and he was like, "Yeah, man, send me over your demo reel and your your headshot, your resume, stuff like that." I was like, "Well, I got a resume, but I mean, haven't really been recorded. I'm thinking music, demo reel."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I the rest I really don't fucking have, dude. And he started laughing. He was like, "You know what? Just shoot a photo with your phone, and that photo's on my Facebook page, the one that started it all. And that way I know how to place you, because he was thinking background, kind of stuff. So I did. I had my wife, snap a photo with the phone, and it was a flippy phone. It was one of those cheap motherfuckers. And about 5 minutes later, he called me. He's like, "Dude, I need you to come in and read for a fucking part for me." And I'm like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "Oh, all you're gonna do is," it was a cold read, and in the lingo,
You had to learn that, huh?
You're not gonna get the script ahead of time. You're gonna get it maybe 5 minutes to get the feel and the juice, and then go. Kind of discovered right about there that I'm really good at that kind of shit, because when I read it with the director, because the actor that was supposed to read with me, he wasn't on time. Guess who didn't get the part? Yeah. So he it ran really vanilla, and I read the lines, you know, and so we went to go smoke a cigarette, and he explained shit. He basically explained acting in fucking 30 seconds. He's like, "Look, dude, put yourself in this man's shoes. This is his life. He runs through it real quick. This is what happened. This is the situation you're confronted with in this scene. What are you gonna do? I was like, I'd probably knock that motherfucker's chiclet down his throat. And he started cackling. He was like, no, 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 don't. That's good, but don't actually fucking hit him. Give off that energy. Does that make sense? And I'm like, I think so. So, homeboy eventually fucking showed up, and he's one of those theater major motherfuckers. And, we're going. I was like, I just dropped my shit. I dropped my script. I look at him. I was like, you out of your fucking mind? And the director just fucking slung the script and was like, yes, let's start shooting now. And I'm like, what the fuck? What? None of this shit made sense. It's so confusing. There's so many pitfalls, and there's so many sharks out there, ladies. There's every shark out there wants to see your. Can I say it? Woohoo!
Sure.
Thank you. I mean, I can't count how many producers, quote unquote, that I've seen where it's no pay, nudity was required, all sorts of shit, and I'm like, I blow these motherfuckers up on the regular. You know what I mean? I publicly shame these cocksuckers because I mean, fuck you, dude. That's somebody's daughter. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
If you can't get fucking laid on your own merits, fuck off. Go be a monk or some bullshit. But to use my industry, something that, it's a form of art that legit changes the world on the everyday, and sully it with your fucking pinky dick half-ass bullshit, that is nothing worse that pisses me. Well, there's a lot of things that piss me off worse than that, but that really pisses me off. You know what I mean, Jellybean?
Well, the moral of the story is that my bad attitude may pay off yet. Everybody, we're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back with more from Rob Mello and toss it over to CC when we get there. Do you feel lost in life? Do you seem to be stuck in emotions that are not yours? Is your home not the sanctuary it should be? Contact Spirit Mechanics, where they take a team approach to your metaphysical and spiritual problems. Spirit Mechanics specializes in aura cleansing, stone attunement, attachment removal, and house cleansings. Spirit Mechanics tailors their approach to your individual spiritual path and needs. Now find them monthly at the Central Kentucky Mystical Market in Lexington. Or on Facebook by searching Spirit Mechanics, that's MECHANIX. Spirit Mechanics, for your spiritual health and well-being.
Hey there, how's it going, all you Scarefest lovers? Glen here from fakeshemp.net, here with another week of deliciously depraved cinema from the land down under. I've got a really juicy one for you today. This one is quite gross. It's one of those subgenres of horror that, once again, people dismiss all too readily, and they shouldn't. It deserves more respect than it gets. Of course, I'm talking about splatter films, and I've got a splattery, splat-tastic film for you on this segment. So let's take a look, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why it deserves some more respect. The name really does say it all. It's called Body Melt, and I shouldn't need to emphasize that this movie is not to be taken seriously. It is a splatter movie from 1993, and it's one of those cult things that is essential viewing for fans of movies like Peter Jackson's Bad Taste and Street Trash, or some of those early ultra-gory trauma films like Toxic Avenger and Class of Nukem High. So as you can see, it's obviously an extremely B-grade and intentionally schlocky film. It tells the story of a suburban cul-de-sac whose residents are unwitting participants in an experimental drug test that is supposed to result in the ultimate human body, but instead it turns everyone into gloopy globs of goo. Try saying that 3 times fast. If outrageous and repulsive are 2 words in your vernacular, then you're going to want to see Body Melt. At the time of its release in '93, the movie stunned audiences down here because of its abundance of famous and respectable actors who mostly came from popular TV dramas down here and a few familiar faces from the soap operas. And at the time, the movie came out of nowhere and it caught everybody off guard. And because of its intensity and total disregard for good taste, it's gone on to become an absolute bona fide cult favourite. Down here, it still gets screened from time to time, and it can be found on DVD and Blu-ray in most physical media retailers. And for me personally, it was released at a time when I was exploring this very brand of cinema. So as I was collecting movies like Reanimator and From Beyond and Brain Dead, this one sat proudly beside so many of those deliciously depraved splatter flicks. Now, as I said in the intro, frustrating for me is the fact that these type of horror movies are completely dismissed and shunned by so many people, including horror fans, when in fact these are actually some of the most important and influential types of movies out there. These are the movies that breed important cinematic voices. These are the movies where some of cinema's most respectable directors cut their teeth. You know, without Bad Taste, we wouldn't have Lord of the Rings. Without Seizure, we wouldn't have Platoon or Wall Street. These films allow young creative minds to explore and experiment and hone their craft. So maybe when you watch them, you might want to have a little bit of a perspective and you might get a lot more out of it. So anyway, when it comes to Body Melts, it deserves a modicum of respect. But if you are sensitive, once again, just remember that it is gross and it is provocative, and I would hope that other words like deplorable and grotesque and depraved, even sloppy, would entice you to relish this very brand of horror. You can almost feel the gore dripping off you after you watch that film. It is really quite something, and all of those words that I used to describe it are very, very apt. So please do yourself a favour and find this one. I think over there it's on Tubi, and I think it's on Amazon Prime, so you should not have any trouble tracking this one down. And look, if you are a cinephile and a collector of splatter films, then perhaps try to find it on Blu-ray as well. I know it got a release over there in the States through one of the cultier labels, shall we say, so maybe hit up eBay. Anyway, it's always a pleasure to be with you every week, and this is me done for another one, so don't forget to check out my podcast, Good Movie Monday. It lands on your Sunday, and also don't forget to tune in to Scarefest Radio Reanimated, which drops on Tuesday, your time. So it's always a pleasure, and I'll catch you next week.
Over to you, CC.
So, Rob, I have to say that you have played a lot of parts. You've been in movies with lots of different amazing actors. But one of my favorites that you've been in is Happy Death Day.
Mm-hmm. That was fun.
And I just thought you were just so deliciously evil in this film. And you were kind of talking about how you got into role for that, you were talking about how you get into character roles, and I was wondering how can you be someone so evil and so mean in a movie, and does some of that stay with you when you leave off the set?
I will answer that using up here. Well, to answer the question of does shit stay with you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes and no. I had an audition. It's the only audition that's ever fucked me up in my life. And it was for Birth of a Nation. And I was to play a slave owner. And I called Nat Turner over to my place to chill out my slaves because they were getting a little unruly. And one of my slaves, if you've seen the film, fucked up. But this guy refused to eat. And I can't have that. So he had one of those old school cages on his head.
Oh.
And they, my underlings brought him to me, and I solved the problem. And I solved the problem by having them take the cage off his head. He refuses to eat. Fine. He wouldn't, you put a funnel down the man's throat, He wouldn't fucking take it. He wouldn't open his mouth. So my character took a hammer and took a chisel and bashed his fucking teeth in.
Ooh.
And the way it was written, reading it, I was this fucking close to saying I don't want to audition for this, and they would have respected it. My agents would have been like, I understand, but I did it. And the description is, I bash his fucking teeth in, shove a funnel in his throat, and pour the gruel down it. Meanwhile, he's being held down, and I'm holding this fucking funnel in his mouth, and you see, and just carrying on a conversation with this dude, and you see, this. It's, if it ain't fucking one thing, it's another. It like you're changing the fucking oil in your car, and
So can I ask you? I don't mean to interrupt, but
please.
Was it because this was such a violent scene, or because this was such a terrible thing that probably at some time did happen to people?
I'm sure it did, but it was the description, because you can't take chunks of tooth down your throat in addition to food and blood. Because if you've ever had your fucking tooth knocked out, you're gonna bleed like a fucking stuck pig. You know this. So imagine getting them all knocked out by a chisel.
Mm.
So the way they wrote it, the funnel is in this man's throat, and he's like, it's just oozing out the side of his mouth. So it's gruel and chunks of tooth and blood. And my mind, I did it. And when my taper called cut, I wept my fucking ass off.
Really?
I wept my fucking ass off. And it was a husband and, well, they're not married, but husband and wife duo, and she's black, but he's white. And I looked at her, and I couldn't fucking say I'm sorry. I had enough. My family got here in 1913 from Ireland. Didn't have shit to do with shit. That fucked me up. That was the worst. But the the original question. Sorry about that. But the original question was, do any of that, these sorts of characters I play, fuck me up? No.
Making it rain up in here.
Much better. Girl, you can't afford me. But Dustin Hoffman said just about the most profound thing in the world of acting, in a minute. He was in college in California, you know what I mean? And you know how you do Fight Club, whatever your job is?
Sure.
So who in history would you want to play? And he said Adolf Hitler. Bearing in mind, Dustin Hoffman's a Jew.
Interesting choice.
And he's in California way back when, and so they were all, all his friends were like, oh my God, why? How? That man was he was Satan himself. He was a monster. And his fucking answer reverberates, and it should. He said, no, Adolf Hitler was a man. Everything in him that told him or instructed him or showed him to do and say the evil shit that he did is also in me, because I'm a man too. So no, the evil shit that I do on set doesn't really bother me as much as the prep work does, or has. Because in order to in order to play some of these guys, you really need to remove the humanity, pieces of humanity from yourself. And, well, that's my opinion. That's how I did it. So, I mean, I've watched beheadings. I've watched horrible, horrible, horrible shit, torture, and that is the shit that wears on you, not the job itself. I hope that was succinct. It was not succinct, but
That was it was very deep. So to kind of contrast with that, you were also in the movie Trailer Park Shark.
hell
Where
yeah.
can I find this movie? Wes, have you found it?
No, same story. I checked again, and all that movie, I don't believe it even exists. I think it is just out there to make people subscribe to different video services.
What?
If
Really?
you go on Amazon Prime and do this Fire Stick and search for that movie, it will tell you to download NBC.
Huh.
NBC's never heard of the damn movie. Then you go other ways to watch, and it will list like 6 of them that allegedly all have this movie.
Right. Oh no, I'm listening to you. I'm
Well, I mean, no,
texting,
that's so.
I'm texting, so
Well, if you
I
have
w-
a copy of
answer you.
this that we can get our hands on, we would love to see
Oh,
it.
it's funny as shit.
It must be. It must be just
Oh.
the name.
So
One
everybody,
second.
while he's searching to tell us how to
Okay.
see Trailer Park Shark, we're going to take our next commercial break. We'll be right
Dude, I'm
back.
getting into it.
Everyone is talking about CBD oil, and it seems like almost everyone is using it. The research is ongoing, but the apparent health benefits are overwhelming. If you're going to use CBD products, though, what brand should you buy? First, find out where the hemp was grown. Imports are flooding the market. How potent is it? Look for a brand that plainly states its concentration on the label. And look for full spectrum CBD. This means the oil contains CBD and all the other cannabinoids, terpenes, and nutrients that are found in the entire cannabis plant. Look for Blue Leaf CBD oil. Blue Leaf Naturals is a Kentucky proud company. They use only Kentucky-grown hemp, supporting Kentucky farmers and businesses. Visit their website at blueleafcbd.com now and use the code SMILE at checkout for free shipping.
This week in horror history, the ufology world experienced its most well-known and well-documented UFO cover-up. On July 7th, 1947, in Roswell, New Mexico, a flying object was seen in the sky before it crash-landed on a nearby ranch. The following day, Public Information Officer Lieutenant Walter Holt publicly announced that they had recovered a flying saucer. Before any more details could be released, the very next day, another press release was issued saying the object was just a weather balloon, but the mystery and intrigue around the incident had already begun. The event went on to be known as the Roswell Incident. Whether you're on Team Cover-Up or Team Weather Balloon, there's no doubt of the impact the Roswell Incident has had on the ufology world and its impact on pop culture. To this day, the town of Roswell celebrates the incident with a large festival each year, and the town has become sort of an alien theme park, including a UFO museum and a flying saucer-themed McDonald's.
And hello, everybody, and welcome back. we're going to talk a little bit about CyberCon now. CyberCon, Scarefest CyberCon, coming up August 29th. We've got some announcements for you. We've got our first 3 guests lined up for our online CyberCon. That's what cyber convention. Anyway, leading us off is Paul T. Taylor. Paul T. Taylor, you know him from Hellraiser Judgment and Sin City. Man's been working in the field since 1998 when he appeared on the scene as Detective Conan. Actually, that has Percy Nicholson on Detective Conan. Next up, a Scarefest regular. We've got Lar Park Lincoln is going to be on screen for your viewing pleasure at Scarefest CyberCon, Lar Park Lincoln. And of course, Friday the 13th, Part 7, Space Above and Beyond. And she's in Sky Sharks. I have never looked forward to a movie any more than Sky Sharks. Let's get the next one out. Christina Klebe, and I hope I'm saying her name right, but she most well known for Hellboy, the 2019 version, Professor T, Proxy, and of course, not going back too far, Halloween 2007. Those are our first 3 guest announcements for our upcoming CyberCon. Now, I'm going to go ahead, before I get back to Rob, you can leave the screen there. Everyone keeps asking about why we are not announcing for Scarefest in October. The best way to explain it is listen to the Scarefest Radio podcast, also available on scarefestradio.com. It's down the left-hand column. This week's episode, Adrian explains what we're having to do. And I'm not going to waste any more of Rob's time while you listen to me explain it again. Go to scarefestradio.com and listen to the podcast. Okay, Rob, now I'm going to try not to get in trouble asking this. 10 seconds to run. When I was researching you for this episode, I watched that movie. I liked that movie. What the hell happened to the ending?
It originated as just an idea. You know, the game itself, 10 seconds.
Right.
Right. And these guys, the Jalbert brothers in Florida, they wanted to prove, they'd already made a feature-length film. And they wanted to prove that they could step up their game with each successive film. And this was proof of concept for a full-length feature. And so they asked a friend of mine who knew her from the acting class that I was in. And they asked her if she knew of any really mean-looking motherfucker that could pass as a redneck. And she's like, I know just the motherfucker. So we hooked up, and there was no real script. And so pretty much any of those flashbacks with the brunette girl, her name's Danielle. She's one of the groundlings now, by the way. We shot that shit just as the standalone piece of proof of concept. So I basically riffed the whole fucking time, and so they had a script built upon that, and it was supposed to be a series, and then they flipped over to a full-length feature, but then it went back to a series because it made better sense that they could cut it up, and but I can't divulge the answer to your question. What happens at the end?
No, I didn't mean what happens. I just want to know what, I guess I phrased it wrong. here's how a person sitting watching Amazon Prime sees that movie. Neat little setup. The part you said with the original 10 seconds to run opening scene.
Right.
Then this incredibly well done movie, all the way up until the credits roll. But I mean,
Right.
so are you? So I guess I'm going to ask: is there more to come on that, or is that just they ran out of film? Did they just run out of time? There's no ending to it. That's what I'm saying. There is no ending.
Well, the point of their point was to tease the audience into asking for more, therefore generating interest, therefore generating money, therefore generating more film. It didn't exactly work that way. It kind of left people going, "What the fuck?"
That was my exact reaction.
Right. I can't tell you what I know about it, but I've asked about buying the rights to the story, and they want a ridiculous sum. So my version of that story is not happening anytime fucking soon. But I loved working on that film. I loved working on that character. That's actually the character that broke me into that, as I explained earlier. You know, that's the character that I had to watch. I had to remove pieces of humanity for. And you wouldn't believe it if I told you, but if you're familiar with film sets, that entire film was shot with a 3-man crew. Sound, camera, director. No shit.
Well,
3.
I do believe it, but the film didn't show it. Like I said, I liked it, and the fact that you told me it wasn't even scripted, that just tells me there were some very imaginative people working on that film.
Well, the film itself was scripted.
Okay.
What you're watching, but you know the flashbacks to the brunette.
Right.
Like I haven't seen it in a while, but me driving this shit up truck, snatching up homegirl, and you know her waking up, and you know all dog raped and bloody and horrible and shit, and then saying, you know, you got 10 seconds to run, and all that shit was filmed in that day. With the blonde, her name's Anya Axton, a great friend of mine. She's also a Marine, by the way. Bad little bitch. She was also in Walking Dead. Her and Michonne went at it, and she damn near killed her. Little shout out to my girl who just had a birthday, but she's really great to work with. The riff about nobody prays for the devil. The one person, the one entity ever that needed love and prayer never gets it. And that's always kind of fucked me up, you know, theologically. So I've kind of tried to stick that in every piece of film that I've tried to do. You know, nobody prays for the devil. So she riffed, and she right back. She said, I asked her, who prays for the devil? Because in that case, guess who he is? And she said, only the angel, with a tear in her eye. And man, she was tied up. She was tied up good, but I hugged the fuck out of her, man, after we shot that, because I was just like, yes, baby, yes. You know,
I complimented the acting on it, but that lack of ending just messed me up. Can you give me one spoiler on it? Let's not talk about the end of the movie. And I don't have the actress's name handy, but she played basically the other female in the movie who was running around with the father, allegedly looking for the daughter?
Debbie.
Okay, she was in on it, right?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
She
Well, at
she kind of has rather intimate knowledge, wouldn't you agree?
But I couldn't tell if she was someone who was who knew what was going on and was just trying to get the hell away from it, or if she was just trying to keep him diverted by having sex and eating meals with him.
That was kind of weird.
Yeah, well, but that's what the storyline was.
Fuck it. You know what? That was my girlfriend. Her name is Jez. She was trying to get away from us. And she ran across Homeboy and knew the playbook.
Okay, she was trying to divert him, but not for the reason that I thought. It was just she didn't want to go back.
She was trying to, in my eyes, she was trying to have a love that she knew she could never have because she was that toxic herself. She was that fucked up. And so she naturally gravitated towards me, who's equally toxic and equally fucked up. And she yearned, like most toxic people, for a brief fucking respite from the insanity. To just have that peephole of love, genuine, adoration. And she got it. But eventually, the toxicity will just retake you. You can't undo it until you undo it for yourself. So she eventually found her way back home. In which case, she got a shotgun stuffed up her ass. Nah, it was her mouth, but not her ass. But they didn't include it. So there was a lot of really good shit we shot. It was just really, really difficult because it was Florida, and every day in the summer in Florida, it rains at about 4 p.m. And we're shooting in this holy shit dump house, and it's got a tin roof. And for sound, no good. So basically everything we shot past 4 p.m. was shit, not usable, because you just couldn't fucking hear anything. I mean, we could have probably done ADR after the fact, but I mean that costs. The professional ADR voiceover. There you go. We could have kept the shots because there was a lot of stuff that we did that was really, really, really good, and it was really indicative, and it really helped move the story along. We just couldn't fucking use it, and they couldn't afford to bring everybody back together, and they had to work. That's the story of most, indies. You just ain't got the fucking money to do it the way you see it, and that sucks. Which is why Terrifier was a great fucking film in my eyes. You know what I mean? I've made a couple great. I wasn't involved with it, but I've made a couple of really good friends from it. Jenna, Catherine, and I mean, that was a very well done indie horror flick.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Like that kill, Catherine. Oh my God. When I meet Catherine, I mean, we've bullshit quite a bit, but when I meet her, I'm just gonna be like, dude. I don't know what to do. Get her some, some Depends. I don't know. It's got cut in half, so by a fucking hacksaw. Damn, that shit was brutal.
Okay, everybody, we got to cut to our last commercial break. We will be right back with more with Rob Mello, and we got Bonehead Weekly coming up. See you in a minute.
Coyote Chris Sutton.
Shamanism.
Spiritual advisement.
Paranormal investigations.
Inspirational presentations.
Bringing light to the darkest places for over 20 years. Go to coyotechris.com to learn more.
Hey, Scarefest fans, it's Joe Lewis from Bonehead Weekly. COVID beard's really coming in, but I'm getting more and more gray. This week, I want you to check out something that you may not have saw. It was a series done for Showtime, and basically the mastermind of it was a guy named Mick Garris. Mick Garris is a famous filmmaker, author, poet. We're friends on social media, but he won't do Bonehead. Anyway, Mick's a real nice guy. And he came up with the idea to do something where you got a bunch of horror filmmakers, horror directors together. They used to have these dinners. And I guess one day Guillermo del Toro said, "Oh, forgive us, it's just the Masters of Horror." He put together a TV show called Masters of Horror, which each one of them, and this was done for Showtime, basically an hour. You got a certain budget, but you could do damn near anything you wanted. And some of them are fan-flippin-tastic. Some of them not so much. I would be lying if I said they were. I love a couple of these. So, Masters of Horror, a few that you can look that I feel are amazing. So, one of them is Toby Hooper's second one he did in the second season called The Damn Thing. Also, this is another second season. Screwfile Solution. Now, there's another movie that's around about people not being able to have sex and make babies and people getting real angry, and this was first, and it pisses me off. I'm not going to say what the other one was. We just lost Stuart Gordon. Stuart Gordon directed Reanimator, From Beyond, Dolls. He's a talented guy. Was The Black Cat. Now, if you've ever seen Jeffrey Combs do his one-man show, if you ever get a chance, Jeffrey Combs was doing a one-man show that was directed by Stuart Gordon about Edgar Allan Poe, and he played Poe. This is a fantastic movie. It's a fantastic short. It's a great adaptation. Jeffrey Combs gives one of his best performances. I've met him several times and we've talked about it. There's two more. One of them I couldn't find on my shelf. As you can see, I actually bought these as they were coming out. You're welcome, Mick Garris. One of my favorites was John Carpenter's Cigarette Burns. And it's about a detective who is... Cigarette burns are the little things when they used to actually have this thing called film. Movies weren't digital. And they'd have to change the reels, and you see the little flicker at the top, and that was to let the projectionist know to change to the next reel. It's called Cigarette Burns and People. Snuff films, starred Norman Reedus. These are all about an hour long. Each director got to do whatever he wanted. And Dario Argento has a great one with Steven Weber. If you get a chance, also check out Takashi Miike. He was the one that gave us Audition. If you've ever seen Audition, what a fucked up movie. His is so bizarre that Showtime wouldn't even show it. But I actually have a copy of it. It's called Imprint. Can buy them, Amazon. And by the way, they did 2 seasons of Masters of Horror, and then it became Fear itself. It moved over to... And Mick ended up leaving the show. Believe it or not, all 26 episodes are on something called Hoopla. They're free and uncut, and all you have to do is sign up for something called Hoopla. I haven't done it. I actually own most of them. Go out. If you're looking for something to binge that's not necessarily available everywhere, not a lot of people know about it, and I'm telling you, watch all of them. None of them are terrible. Some of them aren't so great, but none of them are terrible. But some of them are absolute. I tell you, that Cigarette Burns by John Carpenter, I absolutely love it. It's probably John's best work since... I don't know. Vampires is a lot of fun, but probably since In the Mouth of Madness. Masters of Horror. This has been Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly. Hey, Mick Garris, if you ever want to do our Bonehead Weekly show. And hopefully stay safe, Scarefest fans. I'll talk to you later.
And we're back with more with Rob Mello. Cece, you're up.
So, Rob, you have a new movie coming up that we all want to hear about called The Embalmers. Please tell us.
Woo! It's complicated. It's an indie horror out of Indiana. Too much Indiana shit going on. But it's coming out of Indiana. And producers, co-producers, co-directors, Rebecca Reinhardt and Diane Fraker, and they're sisters. And it's the production company is Schwestern, which means sister. I didn't know that in German. Schwestern Sky Films, and it's a story about a family, but they're not a family in a conventional sense. In that, you know, we all came from the same pair of people. Uh, my character's name's Sai, and he was granted a ability to read the lives of people that have passed. And so, like, all the dirty little fucked up shit you've ever done in your life, I can see it. So we run a funeral home, and there's 3 siblings, me and 2 sisters, and we each kind of have specific abilities. That one's mine, and we kind of act as karma's hammer when it seems like karma skipped town, if that makes sense.
When you say karma's hammer, are we karmaing? I mean, if you're embalmers, I'm assuming that are you working like at a funeral home?
Yep. So we're respected in the community. So
okay.
It's a rural town, so we're pretty much the only gig in town. So everybody that dies in this little town, and if you've ever been in a little town, you know, yeah, there's a lot of shit that doesn't get said, and there's a lot of rumors, and there's a lot of shit, and we get to the bottom of it, and we get to I don't know, I'd say mete out justice is what it is. Justice that isn't attainable in this world.
Okay.
So what we can do is I can look through your brain and your history and your entire life and determine and tell what happened. And so my sisters and I get to determine, well, there's one that determines whether or not you're fucked. Ooh. So we can trap your soul in your rotting corpse. Ooh. Right down to the very last atom, which takes centuries, especially now with embalming techniques.
Very interesting. That sounds amazing. So now I've got another one on my list. I want to see Trailer Park Sharks. Right. I want to see The Embalmer. And I have to ask you, I saw a video clip of you at a premiere for Happy Death Day. Mm-hmm. And when when you guys were talking about it, you said that you didn't even know who the killer was, and the movie had already been filmed. Is that true?
I was given the script.
So you had to know everything, right? I mean, did you read past your part?
There are, of course. Of course. Always. Some folks only read the shit that involves them, and that's policy. That's wrong. That's wrong to do that, because my part, just as every other part in the whole film, is a little cog in the machine of the film. It works together if it works together. And so to not read the whole script is to lose sight of, you know, the bigger picture, that, you know, the story that we're actually trying to tell, in which you've been graced to be a cog in the machine. So no, I hadn't seen it. It was my understanding that, you know, a few days prior, because I was out of town, I'm the only one that was out of town, me and Feet, that they already had seen it. Of course, I knew, and I mean, I've read it, but dude, part 2 was really hard to read and see. You know, a lot of scripts are fairly simple. You know, they follow a fairly easy way to method to follow it and watch it in your own mind. And that one was hard as fuck. And I've got to congratulate Chris. I don't blow smoke up anybody's ass ever. I'll shoot you fucking straight, man. But props to Chris for figuring. I mean, he wrote it, but
it's pretty amazing, right?
It was totally different.
Last question.
I get. Sorry.
Were you mad it wasn't you?
No. Actually, in The Best of Me, when I met Marsden, he was getting his initial makeup and all that shit, and I was getting finishing. And I walked by him. I was like, "What's up, dude? I'm Rob." He's like, "What's up, man? I'm James." I was like, "I gotta tell you something." And when I got cast, because the book had already been written, when I got cast, of course I read the book, and my character was this incredibly horrible prick. That character, Ted Cole, in that book, is worse than everybody I've ever portrayed, for real. So having read that, and then I got the script, and I didn't actually get to kill Dawson, which in the book I did. I told him, I walked by, I was like, "What's up, man? I'm kind of pissed at you, dude, truth be told." And he's like, "What? You just fucking met me, dude. How are you pissed at me? What did I do? What happened?" I was like, "Well, I don't fucking get to kill you." And I'm kind of pissed.
That's how I feel about Wes sometimes, right, Wes?
Well, what can I say? Everybody, we're at the end of the show. I want to thank Mr. Rob Mello for coming on and sharing some stories with us tonight. I want to now, quick reminder though, not only Scarefest CyberCon, and of course Rob will be appearing at Scarefest October 23rd through 25th, the real Scarefest. CyberCon's coming up August 28th, and if you're in the Cynthiana, Kentucky general area, tomorrow night, Saturday, a bunch of us are going to go to the Ross Opera House and watch Jaws on the big screen. So if you were born where you didn't get to see Jaws in the theater, come down and see us. We're going to watch it in an actual, honest to God, movie theater. Everybody, this has been Scarefest Television.
The year I was born.
The year you were born, Jaws came out?
1975.
Well, see, you missed it. You should drive up and see us. See you next week, everybody.
Rob, you were great.